Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Zach and I are doing a no-run-through review for the new Root expansion, the Marauder expansion. This is going to be specifically over the new factions, the Lord of Hundreds and the Keepers in Iron. The expansion did add landmarks.
Yep. Hirelings.
Hirelings, which I have not played with. You have, so we can probably actually you can talk about those real quick towards the end, but right. I have no experience with them. So let's go ahead and talk about which one do you want to talk about first?
You can talk about the Lord of Hundreds.
Okay, so real quick, which one do you think is cooler?
I probably like the Lord of Hundreds better. I think they're more straightforward. They're pretty aggressive, which I like in Root factions.
Yeah.
I either like being super aggressive in a Root faction or like just the most sneaky bastards you can be.
Right. Yeah. It's, I mean, because Root is one of those games that has so many different play styles.
Right.
But obviously it does hinge on a war game, so there is conflict.
Right.
Regardless, I think probably the most passive faction would have to be the Riverfolk.
Yeah.
And even then, there is conflict.
There's conflict.
So yeah, let's talk about the Lord of Hundreds, which we just got done playing a game, and I had played as them. And man, I do like them.
They are fun.
I think they are really, really cool. They're just such a...
When you messaged me, I kept going back and forth, like, I really do want to play the Keepers of Iron, but the Lords of Hundreds look so much fun.
I mean, thematically, they're just awesome. Just going in and burning things to the ground. They are not what I actually expected based off their initial concept.
Right.
I was actually thinking that they would literally put like fire tokens down and prevent like areas like the rays of the Vagabond, the one who I think
that burns one location
where no one can go to.
Right.
That's what I thought they did.
Right.
Was slowly maybe permanently remove
a
spot.
Sure.
But they're not that, which is very good. They, I don't think either of them are broken or busted. I think at this point, I mean, I look at it like we have Root here, game by Cole, and then we have the expansion by Nick, Patrick, Cole, and Josh. So the expansion had 4 people involved. Right. I don't know how many of them put input onto the factions, or if Cole did the factions and Nick did the hirelings or whatever. I don't know.
Right, and the monuments and stuff.
Yeah, so in case you're unfamiliar and you're coming here to see if the expansion is worth getting, obviously, yes, if you love Root, more factions are always a good thing.
Yep.
But the Warlords they remind me kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different factions.
Yes.
Like, unlike the Duchy and the Corvid, whenever they came in and they felt totally unique.
Right.
I will say the Lord of Hundreds and the Keepers of Iron, they are unique. It's not like they're a carbon copy of something else, but they do feel a little like, oh, we took something from the Woodland Alliance, took something from the Vagabond, took something from the Duchy.
And the cats.
And the cats, and just put them all into one for here. So the Lord of Hundreds have a Warlord meeple that a lot of stuff kind of revolves around him.
Yep.
He gets extra recruit whenever you're where he's at. How you incite mobs is where he's at, where you can build like a lot of your cards. So this is where the Duchy resemblance kind of comes in. Right. With these I like the fact the mood cards. I think it's just so neat how he has multiple personality disorder.
Right.
With 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different moods. Right. That he can realistically choose from, and that's just all related to where your Warlord is at. Right. And the fact that he just can't be affected by anything unless it's battle. Right. Which is huge.
And it's kind of funny. I mean, they're going in trying to take over the forest thematically, right? Mm-hmm. And as he collects loot, his moods change.
Right.
Like, he's not,
He gets a sword, so he's no longer wrathful.
Right. He doesn't care about that anymore. And so, thematically, that's kind of cool. It's, pretty fun way to do it.
It's another faction that actually utilizes loot. Yep. Other than to score points. Right. Which is either, hey, I can get the card, or I can get the token, or I can get the points.
Right.
Okay, they're moderate complexity.
Right.
That's probably where I
agree
put
with them. Yeah.
Because whenever you're thinking of which tokens to get, you also have to think about, which card you're willing to get rid of.
Right.
Like, when I got the sword, and I was like, oh, that gets rid of my Wrathful ability.
Right.
Ugh. That's his best attacking card.
Right.
But I like the fact that it is a limiter, but you have ways around it. You could be like, well, I really want to use my Wrathful, so I'm going to do my Lavish.
Yes.
And I'm going to get rid of the sword.
Right.
And then try to get, a hammer or a tea kettle.
Right.
So
in its place. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just so cool. Like, I honestly did not expect because they get their oppression on points, which is how they are going to consistently get points. I love the fact that they are almost always, every turn, they're most likely getting points.
Yep.
Whether it's 1 point, it only goes up to a max of 4, and you have to hold 6 clearings.
Right.
Sorry, not hold. You have to have exclusive rule
in that many clearings.
In that many clearings, and that's just for 4 points, which is not nothing.
Right.
But
it's not like the Eerie that has to get 5 roosts for 5 points.
Yeah.
And they don't have to control the clearing. They just have to have a roost out.
Exactly. They have to completely hold it. And against the Corvid in our last game, like, there was a time I was actually able to potentially get 6, but I attacked the Corvid, he had a raid, got rid of it, then it's like, well, okay, he just took 2 of the 6 that I potentially was going to get, and now I ran out of actions. So the Lord of Hundreds is very thematically cool, because they do start out with some pretty decent board presence, but they ramp extremely quick.
Right.
No, maybe not extremely quick.
But they definitely ramp aggressively.
Yes, and so if they do get 4 command, or even if I had 4 prowess, that would have been like 4 people dropped where the Warlord's at. That's 4 total actions my Warlord can now do.
On top of any actions that you can get for the rest of your armies.
Exactly. So and this is once again why I love Root. If any faction is left unchecked, they will win.
Right.
Like
100%.
Even we did a ranking, and this will come out after the ranking list, so go check that out. But even the one that we liked the least, spoiler for that, was the Riverfolk. If they're left unchecked, they're just disgusting.
Right.
And they're not even our favorite.
Right.
I'm trying to think, like, the reason why I like them is because they never feel so immediately like, oh, well, this is how you stop them. Like, the Eerie is kind of like, they ramp so quick in points, but you can just be like, oh, you have to battle in a mouse clearing. Okay, everyone, move out of the mouse clearings. Yep. And then it's like, oh, okay, he's going into decline.
Right. Or they have to produce in a rabbit clearing, so you just go bust a roost in a rabbit clearing, and it's just done.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't think of really anything of the Lord of Hundreds is that you can't completely shut them out, but you can stifle them.
Right.
Like, if no one crafts,
right, then
they're not getting items. Well, they are, but they have to choose between the item or the points.
You have to craft, or you have to go get ruins, but you're definitely limiting them on actions by not crafting.
And the ruins, you put one of each item, so there's the boot, the bag, a
sword and a hammer.
So 2 command and 2 prowess items. But they're random.
Right.
So I have to go there, place a mob token in there to get it.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, well, shit, I didn't want the sword. Dang it. Okay, well, that is what it is.
Right.
It's still an item, I guess. But yes, that is probably one of the quickest ways I can think of to hold them down. Their oppression, if you can knock them down to 1 or 2 total rule, then they're only getting 1 point.
Right.
And even then, once again, it's not hard. All it takes is literally for Cat to go boop.
Right.
And it's like, well, I don't completely control that anymore.
Right. So stopping them from getting points is not impossible. It's not even necessarily difficult. But it's one of those things, again, Root is great because you as a player don't ever have to just stop one player. You have to stop 3 other players.
Right.
Pretty consistently.
It's the perfect asymmetrical game because unlike Vast, which we were talking about earlier, in Vast, the warrior has to stop the dragon.
Yes.
Like, no one else can stop the dragon.
Right.
And here, it's it's like, oh, okay, well, Cat is going to keep me in check as Marquita Cat. Okay, so she's dealing with me, but that's leaving you guys. So then I'm actually, okay, fine, I'm going to try and stop you. And then everyone's just constantly, it's a tug of war, really.
Right.
King of the Hill kind of aspect of everyone's consistently getting points, but you're really stopping people from getting that massive lead.
Right.
Because all it took, the reason I got the massive lead was because I was the one that was exclusively going for you.
Right.
I had the firepower to do it, but also Cat did. The Corvid, even though they're not immediately, like, board presence-wise, he's not sending an army of Corvid to come,
right.
But all he does is like, oh, you're probably going to come here to recover. So,
right.
Like the one that you ran up there, if it was a bomb,
yeah,
and he just flipped it and just blow it, and you're like, okay, he gets 4 or 5 points,
right.
And then now the chargers you went all the way back to get,
right.
Now they're placed out, and you have to run back out and get them.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this game, is just that every single grouping of factions, this is why I say definitely get this expansion, because it adds more of what I'm about to say. Every single grouping of different factions plays completely different on how they're all going to interact with one another.
Yes.
Hell, even if the Vagabond was in here, like, the Vagabond is now racing to steal items that I might potentially want.
Right.
And that would be annoying. And then you can't... This did make me a little upset when I did read it. I was hoping you could steal items from the Vagabond.
Nope.
Because you cannot... You could steal from everyone else because he doesn't have a...
crafted
items location. And I was like... No, that's. But I mean, all I do is send my warlord in and beat the shit out of him.
Right, and to me, the same point is like it's not bad because one of my complaints with like the Vagabond, I do love playing the Vagabond. It's a fun faction in my opinion to play, but it's hard to just like if there's only one Vagabond, they kind of got free reign to go and trade items with people. Mm-hmm. Now you have another faction without having to have a second Vagabond in the game. Who's like, no, I want those items too.
Yeah, that is true. I think you mentioned that the Lord of Hundreds is a good counter against the Vagabond.
I think it's a good counter for a Vagabond.
And the Woodland Alliance, like you said. Because the Woodland Alliance, their support markers do similar stuff.
Right.
The Corvid bombs do something, so... And, I mean, the mob... Really, the main difference from the mob to the other those is that the mob spreads.
Right.
Which is really cool. It spreads randomly...
Spreads randomly.
And only once, but if you get them all out, and you're also limited to the tokens.
Right.
So it's like, well, I only have one. Okay, I rolled a mouse. Okay, is there a mouse nearby?
What is interesting is that faction is one of the fewer factions that your tokens go out and are not points for you.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Most ones that place out like Corvid, Woodland Alliance, they're points for them. Yours, it's control.
It is control.
It's trying to defend spot because really what they're trying to do is keep spots clear so you can score 3 points or 5 points or I guess 4 points at max.
Max at 4 of holdings of literally.
So literally, their kind of job is clear off spots so that way I keep one mouse in each of those locations, clear them off. And I can get some points from them. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's really good for.
And what I love about them as well is the fact they get their points in their evening step.
Yep.
Unlike a lot of other people where...
They get it at the beginning.
They get it at the beginning.
Yep.
The Corvid would be gross if they got to flip their plots at the end.
The end.
So they have to basically wait a full round and then be like...
Upholding their tokens and all of that good stuff.
Yep. So with the raising being in Birdsong, it does 2 things. One, if it goes off, it just blows everything up. But if it doesn't go off... Like, let's say this Corvid wasn't here. It's a deterrent for a lot of people for wanting to go there. I mean, granted, in that case, it's not, because it's just a free destroy. But let's say I had, 2 things there, and Kat comes in with 4, and she's like, okay, I can probably destroy that, and I happen to play an ambush.
Right.
And I destroy 2. Now it's an even playing field.
Right.
And so it's like, but that's one of those other things where people are having to go out of their way just to destroy that.
Right. And...
if she doesn't succeed, then it's like, great, that goes off, all those are gone, and now in my evening I'm going to get points.
Right.
They're so fun. They're constantly changing with the moods.
Yep.
Which I don't think any of these are busted. I think they're all a really good counter for different factions.
Right. I will say the first time I played against them, because I only played them one other time, we definitely misread the fact that you had to change them out every single round.
Oh,
if someone
yes.
played the Wrath Bowl like the entire.
Oh god, yeah, that would be disgusting.
Right.
But yeah, because the fact the Force says choose a different mood.
Yeah. Which makes sense because the whole idea is he's kind of sporadic with his moods, and he's only getting satisfied in removing a mood when he gets that item.
Exactly.
Otherwise, he wants this, and then he wants this, and then he wants this, and
Yep, he's he's definitely extremely power hungry.
right.
And I love the fact that if you do get unlucky and you're like, okay, I didn't want the sword or I didn't want the boot, because the first thing I got rid of was the Jubilant. After you incite your warlord to clearing, you may roll the mob die to place a mob up to 4 times.
Right.
And it's like, dang it. But
That's a good beginning one.
It's a very good beginning one. But then it's like, oh, well, okay, I don't want the boot. Well, then I'll play Lavish. And then now I'll remove the boot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm removing how many actions I get, but
depending on what you can do without it, it might not be a worse decision.
yeah. So, I think they're extremely, extremely fun. What do they say on the back?
And remind me, I think they have one of the most units, like meeples too.
20.
So pretty
They
high.
have 20. I think the cats don't. The cats have the most, right? Overall.
I thought the cats had the most
They have
overall.
25.
Yeah,
So they have
I was going to say
5 less.
25.
And it makes sense. So the expansion also did add an advanced setup. I don't know if you looked. Did you guys do that?
We did not.
Okay. I haven't tried that either because it heavily stated multiple times only use that if everyone is experienced.
Right.
Because that does away with the
order.
reach. Well, not the order, the reach.
The reach. No, we did do that.
You did just kind of.
We did the advance.
And it limits. Yes, it changes placement.
Yep.
And it changes how many factions are available. So
Right.
you actually only get, for playing a 4-player game, 5 of the factions are
Right.
available. I think that's a cool addition.
Yes.
Instead of being like, okay, we have 4 people, we need whatever, 20 reach points. Well, we have to have the cats or
Right.
whatever. But if you are looking at the reach point value, cats are still a 10. They're a 9.
These, I think, are 9, aren't they?
I think they're an 8.
They're 8.
I think they were 1 under. Yes, Keepers are an 8. The Underground Duchy are an 8.
Okay.
Eerie is a 7. First Vagabond is 5. Second is 2. Riverfolk 5. Woodland Knights is 3. Corvid 3. And Lizard Cult 2.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because the Lizard Cult are they're like that. Well, we need 1 more point. Okay, well now they're in.
Right.
It's like, dang it, you can't always have them in depending on number of players. Well, I guess with advanced setup you could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so them being literally 1 reach value under totally makes sense.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they should be higher than the cats.
So I think
it's just because the cats have.
It's board presence
Yeah.
and I was just kind of glancing through some podcasts on it and how many people if you have a good player with the cats, they are hard to beat.
Are they? I can see that.
Because they're almost so flexible for what they do.
That's true.
You get tons of action. So you get 3 actions, but your move is 2 actions basically for what everybody else is.
Yeah.
The fact that you always should be field hospitaling, constantly. You're not crafting as much with the cats, but the thing is, I think you get faster cards if you do the crafting buildings.
Yeah. Really enough, they're considered moderate for crafting ability. I guess I will.
But some of that, I think, is when they are first.
Well, you said they're also flexible. They could just go craft heavy and just build a bunch of workshops out.
You can. But you guys have huge flexibility with cats.
Yeah.
Which I love.
And you have to understand whenever you're playing them that you're going to be the one being attacked.
Right.
Immediately from the get-go. You have to.
And that's to me, when I play cats, one of my first few actions is always move my cats so they're double paired on the outer edges. Because then it actually becomes valuable for when I use the field hospitals. You kill 2 cats, fine, field hospital.
Yeah, that's
I'll
true.
get 2 cats back. 2 cats is worth a card, in my
That's
opinion.
true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And so it's those type of things.
Yeah. The Lord of Hundreds aren't as flexible. They are.
Right.
I will say, they had an idea for a theme and they stuck to that.
Yep.
They are high aggression. They do. I mean, they could go craft heavy, but they're not as.
That's not what they're
That's
built
not what
for.
they're built for.
Yeah.
Literally, their warlord has nothing about crafting.
Right.
It is all about manipulating things on when you want to battle.
Right.
You have one way, his rowdy, to get more cards. So that's kind of his... He has very low card. So if you like crafting, if you like having special abilities, this is not the faction for you.
This one is.
That one is 100%. We'll get to them very soon. But the rowdies, you get in evening, you draw one more card, so you get 2 instead of just the 1. He has nothing else that gives him extra. Like, it's 1 card or 2 with the rowdy. But if you're in a clearing, or if your warlord is in a clearing that has more than 3 enemy pieces, it says pieces, and in my mind, I was thinking cardboard. It's not.
No.
It's just... So he was almost always in areas with enemy pieces. But then you get to draw 2 more cards instead. So if you really want some card draw, if you want to get ambushes, if you want to start trying to craft to ramp up your horde, that's what you go and do. And you just send your warlord to locations to do that.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, he is the warlord. It has a goal to burn the forest down, to oppress everyone, to take back what they believe is theirs by any means necessary. They are one of the best that I have seen. That, I mean, honestly, against your keepers, you being able to negate a damage, I was like, that's gonna be rough. It didn't end up being as rough because with him being able to spawn so many people into his spot, it's like,
not that bad of a deal.
Yeah, it's like, I can afford to lose a few people.
Right.
Because in that case, I was attacking not to control the clearing, but to destroy.
And again, attacking the keepers, while not always good, is actually probably better than them attacking you because they get the high roll and negate 1 of your damage.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was like, about the second to last turn, I was like, man, I should have been like really aggressive at fighting with them.
Yeah.
Because I had tons of relics out there and I should have just been more aggressive.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more. Oh, I guess something we may not have even mentioned. Maybe we did, but I can't remember. One of their other abilities is the fact that they can, instead of dealing damage to another player, they can actually choose to steal the item from them.
Right.
And it's just like... So it says you deal no rolled hits, but they do. So it's like, luckily, if you're attacking, then they take the lower roll. So you might lose a few pieces, but in the end, you can just be like, anyway, I'm going to take that, that second sword or whatever. So, other than that, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the Lord of Hundreds? And let's play some. Do you still have your ranking list?
I'm trying to remember if I deleted that or not.
Right. I still have mine, surprisingly. I thought I got rid of it.
I did get rid of it.
Okay.
And I haven't played them yet, so I've only seen them played.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely, just from seeing their play, they're going to be in my top 50 of factions.
Your top 50? You mean your...
The top half.
Okay.
There's 10 factions.
Yeah.
So
11 if you count the second Vagabond.
Yeah,
no one does.
but
yeah, there's a flat 10. It is definitely above in my top 3.
That's what I'm trying to...
Because I have Lizard Cult, Corvid, and Underground Duchy. And I know the Lizard and the Underground Duchy weren't super high for you.
No.
Because
Duchy was maybe 5.
It was like mid-tier, yeah.
Yeah.
Vagabond was your favorite.
And then Corvid was next.
Yeah.
I think Woodland Alliance was after that.
Yeah, then maybe Eerie.
And then...
Eerie high for
Eerie
you?
was semi-high.
Yeah, because... Yeah, we almost kind of flipped. We agreed on the 8, but then...
Right.
I think Marquis de Cat was low. It might have been 7 or 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 5? Because here's... They're definitely not my favorite. Like, they're not beating...
They're not going to beat my favorite.
Yeah, they're not beating the Lizards. And I think I am going to... I think I'm going to put them above the Underground Duchy. Like, I think I like them more. I think they do what they do, but the Underground Duchy can just be shut down. Easier. Now, it's not super easy, but they can be shut down. And it could just be because the Lord of Hundreds is so new, but they are so fucking fun to run out and you just massacre locations, and while you're not getting, you may not always be getting a bunch of points, you're consistently getting points. The Lord of Hundreds isn't going to be one of those where you're just all of a sudden like, 8 points, 10 points out of nowhere. But
right.
It's 2.
Right, it's
3.
pretty consistent.
And in a game like this, 2 points, it's not nothing.
No.
And especially if you can craft, and you're like, well, I don't need the kettle. 2 points. So, yeah, I think I'm going to put them at 3.
I think these factions are going to be up there. So I'll say this, even just playing this twice. This is probably my favorite expansion so far.
Between the... Oh, no, there have been 3 expansions.
There's 3.
Wow, you're right.
So to me, out of the box, they're not straightforward in the sense like, oh, this is how you need to play them, but just, I would call it straight up fun to play with. Like, the lizards are great, but they have a steep learning curve, in my opinion.
They do.
Even, like, the otters have a pretty steep learning curve. Mm-hmm. The duchy, for me, and even the corvid, to me, had a steep learning curve. Mm-hmm. Where, like, the first 4 factions, they were pretty straightforward, in my opinion. I didn't have a hard learning curve for them.
Yeah, it was more just trying to figure out the asymmetry of everything. Right. I definitely think it's better than the River Folk expansion.
Yep.
I don't think, just based off my ranking list, even though this is beating out the Underground Duchy, but it still doesn't beat out the Corvid, I think I would probably put the Underground expansion higher. Just because I like both of those so much. And I like these too, but I don't know if the Keepers... the Keepers, I can tell you, is not beating the Underground Duchy.
Right.
But they're probably going to be right under. So they're killing... I mean, I'll say they're killing it on expansions.
They're killing it on expansions.
So, that's the Lord of Hundreds. I'm going to give them... I'm probably going to give them a...
I mean, based on that, they're a 7, right?
They'd be an 8. Because I don't...
Oh, yeah, 8. Because they'll be your 3rd.
Yeah. Oh, if I was ranking these like an order... You're right, I guess. Like, yeah, the River Folk are a 1.
Right.
But... No, because Corvid's a 9, Lizard Coulter is probably a 9. I'm going to give the Lord of Hundreds an 8.
I probably was going to, say, out of 10, they're an 8. Yeah. They're definitely solid.
Yeah. If they had maybe one other, like, maybe one minor other tweak about them, like, because it does come down to they are very one note. Like, I'm going to war.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I always like a little spice.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with chicken noodle soup, but you want a little flavor in there.
Right.
so yeah, Lord of Hundreds is an 8.
Yeah.
Now, Keepers and Iron.
Keepers and Iron. So, what they do, kind of again like the Lords of Hundred, they feel like they took pieces from different factions and changed them slightly. Mm-hmm. So, you have the Retinue up on top, which is very similar to the Erie's programming. There what do the Erie call them? The Decree. The difference is you do not have to do all of it. Mm-hmm. You can choose, but you can only have a maximum of 10, unlike the Erie. The Erie can have as many as they like.
Oh, yeah, I guess they... I haven't played the Erie.
Never
no, they won't.
get to, like, more than 14, but you
could.
No,
more than 14.
You could.
Yeah, man, I haven't played the Erie probably since the game came out. I don't choose them. I never want to play the Erie.
Yep.
I think I'm too scared of my programming that I'd be too stressed of making sure it all worked out. And I'd be like, oh my god, they can all see my plan.
Right.
And they're going to fuck me.
So they are doing something with the forest spaces, like the Vagabond. They put tons of relics all over the board. That's how they're gaining points. They're collecting relics. Mm-hmm.
Which is a very cool concept.
Which is a great concept.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they had a theme of the Marauder expansion of like very heavy aggression and none at all.
Right. Right.
We're like, yeah, we just want like treasure. Can you
like
not want kill treasure.
Us? Kind of a cool mechanic is once they get a treasure, if they're holding it, they ignore a hit in combat. They get basically it's considered devoted knights, and they can move those tokens. And I think they're the only faction that can move a token around in the entire game.
Corvid can swap,
but they're not moving. They're not moving with
it. You're right. Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
Was a very weird concept because whenever you got it, I was like, "Where does it go?" And you're like, "No, it's just with me."
Right. It's just with those guys.
I was like,
and again, that's a weird concept because nobody else does it.
Yeah, that's true.
Their way stations, they only get 3, but they're instantly another card.
I think you're high. I think you're high card.
High cards because turn 1, you can draw 3 cards.
Oh, because you can drop 2.
Because you can drop 2 because you start in 2 locations and you can drop 1 at each clearing.
Yeah.
So turn 1, you can draw 3 cards. I don't know a faction that on turn 1 draws 3 cards easily or consistently. Not consistently, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're drawing cards up a lot, which is good because you need your retinue to grow quickly. That's where I honestly made a couple mistakes at the beginning of the game where I didn't grow that as aggressively as I probably should have.
Yeah.
Because some of the things is just put cards in. If you don't like it, instead of putting cards in, you can shift one card anywhere on the thing. So put cards in to just do things potentially because you don't need. It's not like the Eerie. If you don't do it, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, which I like. I
I like.
They're clearly higher than the Eerie for me because of that
100%.
reason alone.
Yep. Negative for them is because they're basically those relics give them armor. If someone can blow one of those pieces up, it's 2 points instead of 1 for a cardboard.
Which, as we said, a consistent 2 points is not
great.
nothing.
Yep. Kind of a cool thing. So their way stations are pretty easy to put out. You basically take one of your warriors and you flip it with one of the way stations. Immediately after that, if you don't like where a way station is, you turn it back into a warrior. So it's not like those way stations are moving across the board, because the only way to get points by taking your relics and putting them back is you have to go to specific way stations. Each way station has a symbol that matches one of the 3 relics. They're front and back, so that each way station does one of 2 different ones, but depending on which one you put up on that face is the way station you can return those items to.
Yeah, and what's really cool about your relics is we were saying they get blown up. The great thing is they don't go away.
Yeah.
People can position them. It's like, oh, you have a 3. Okay, I'm going to hone in on that. It's like, let's say I kill you, 2 points for me. Yay. And let's say you went down here and got that. It's like, well, now you have no people over here. I'm going to make this 3,
there.
basically all the way out, of your reach.
Right.
And honestly, whenever you built a way station, this was like the very beginning of the game that we just played. You built a way station, immediately got a 3-pointer, which was lucky. The relics are lucky. And there's 2...
There's 2 3s of each type, so there's 6 3.1s.
6 3s, and there's 12 total, so you have 50-50 chance of getting a 3, which is good. I like that. It's not like, a 30% chance or some stupid shit. Right. But yeah, whenever you got a 3 and then immediately turned it in, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna... I was like, alright, that might have just indirectly or subconsciously maybe just like, well, I guess I'm going to keep attacking him. Like, if he's going to be turning in 3-pointer stuff all the time.
And that's where I start, realizing... So I then overcorrected because, okay, but now I don't have any armor on anybody. And so then I put 3, kept 3 out on the 3 groups that I was really playing with. And it's like, I'm not gaining points either from this, and they're getting blown up every now and then.
But what's disgusting about them, probably... They are the... Besides maybe the Underground Duchy, they're the ones that can ramp one location by a disgusting amount. You don't get to keep all them there, by the end of your turn, but if you really just need to protect, a relic or get a relic...
Honestly, if you could clear off that mine, I just fortify that, put all 3 way stations right there, because there's 3 spots.
Oh, yeah.
And then just literally hoard armies.
That's true.
And then just use that as
luckily
the basic
at the end of your turn, you do have to go down to 4.
Right.
And then that's 3 people.
No, you have to go down to 3.
Oh, you have to go down to 3?
Yes.
Oh. So you go down to 3, and so luckily it's not like, super ramp and then just turtle up.
Right.
And then it's like, for that one, that'd be probably a really good 1 move, but then you'd have to start spreading them out to go get the relics again.
Right.
Because that's their only way of getting points, ignoring crafting, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's how they gain points.
Because once again, you don't get anything for putting... You're actually bringing in tokens. You don't have tokens anywhere else.
Right.
Which is really, really cool, yeah.
Yep. So kind of, again, how they work is... So once you get through your birdsong, you craft, which of course you use your way stations like pretty much everybody else uses tokens somewhere on the board. Mm-hmm. Then you move.
Is there anyone that doesn't use tokens for crafting? Lizard Cult?
No, they use gardens.
Oh, you're right. They do use their gardens.
I think everybody does.
I think they all have a specific token, yeah.
Yep. So you do moves first. So kind of like the Eerie, you do all moves that you want to do first. Mm-hmm. So, again, birds like normal allow you to move from any clearing. Then mouse ones let you move from a mouse clearing to clearing, other clearings. After that, you have to battle if you want to go try grab a relic, which is a delve. Mm-hmm. But first, you must battle if able.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to fight someone and there's someone there. Too bad.
For some reason, you're like nerds, and you're like, you can't just be like, hey, excuse me, I just want that relic.
Right.
They're like, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
You're like, fine, we're killing you.
You have to fight them. To me, the thing that actually does kind of benefit is if you don't control equal to or more clearance than the number on the token, you lose that delve card. Which is a limiter, so like, because there are 50% of them are 3s, there's a solid chance that you're going to lose your delve card that you're going to have to replace. And that really is a pain when it's a bird delve card.
When it's, specifically your faithful recruiters, because those just go away.
Right.
And then it's like, that sucks.
Yep, and that sucks. But at the same time, and that's again where I felt like I was probably a little too timid with this faction at times, where it's like, but they're also still worth points, so I should probably just do it anyway, and then start trying to do other stuff.
Well, they're also a high complexity as well,
Right.
so, and you can definitely see it. Because some of these, I think that we have looked at and we're like, well, they probably should be high. They're
Right.
labeled moderate, or they're labeled low, and they probably
Nope.
should be moderate.
This one's high.
They are very...
This is, you have to think ahead. This is not I think I'm going to attack this turn, and next turn I think I'm just going to do this.
Well, another great thing about them is that they're definitely a lot more flexible, I feel, than the Lord of Hundreds. Because, like, for example, let's just say you do have a whole bunch in Delve.
Right.
Let's just say 3, because once again these are random. You can potentially go out and find like
multiple of them.
Find multiple of the same type of relic,
Right.
And then you could do your recruit. Swarm the one area and then move all them to one location.
Right.
Turn them all in.
Right.
And then just be like, okay, well that's... I mean, what's the max you can get for one complete type of... It's 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's 9 points. So you get 27 points by just completing, but the other thing is, every time you complete a row, 2 extra points.
2 extra points. So
you don't even need to complete all of them.
Right. So, I mean, if you just run around... Because let's say, you have 3 delve cards.
Right.
Who cares if you lose it?
Right.
You just go and get it, you have the people, and then you just slowly move to one location. And be like, anyway, I'm going to turn all these in now and get 9 points, which is it's not a third of the victory point wins, but it might as well be.
Right. Because you're going to kill other people's tokens at some point. You're going to craft something at some point.
Like with the Corvid here, you go, and since you have to battle, you're like, I got 2 damage on it. Okay, well, there's 1 point because I killed one of his plots. Yeah, they're one of those factions that I feel reward that planning.
Right.
And unlike the Eerie and some other factions where you're planning and it can just be like cut down super quick,
right.
They at least have the ability to be like, I'm gonna ramp up this, and then what you could also do, ramp it up and then split up into 3s, and they each take a relic,
right?
And it's just like, well, shit, we can't all fight him
because again they're going to be downgraded until there are just 3 of them. So if I can't get them all recovered, split them up. Let them make someone fight us.
Yep, and if you have 3 with a relic, that's essentially like you having 4.
Right, and we saw even multiple times that like you have lots of times to attack, like multiple, and it took a while to whittle down anybody with a relic.
It did, because it does come down to die rolls, and I think you had like 3 people in one.
Right.
And I had the ability, what was it? Stubborn. In battle with your warlord, you ignore the first hit you take.
I didn't care about killing other people's warriors, but it was the question is like, can I just survive because I take 1 less hit every single time?
And it came down to, I killed all your units, but I didn't get the extra hit to destroy the relic.
And then they just
did I end up getting that relic anyway?
Well, one time you did, but then another time you did not.
That's right.
Yep.
Because then you just ran in and took it, and it's just like, I lost
in
that. It's like, I killed all his units, but I had like 4 there.
Right.
And
they still whittled it down.
now I'm weaker. So.
Right. Yep. So I do like them. So for me, and partially I know I put the Duchy pretty low last time. They're better than the Duchy for me.
They are not better than the Duchy for me. I like them. The Duchy they just have so much going on. I'd probably need to look. I can't remember. Is the Duchy high complexity as well?
Yeah.
Because
they do require quite a bit of planning to keep
their lords out.
Yeah.
And their lords are very conditional. They get you a shit ton of points, but it's very conditional. And the Keepers in Iron, they're not conditional, which I really like. I like the fact that it's like, you need to go out and find the high. You could get screwed in I mean, and only find the 1-pointer, relic, which I'm not finding. There's one.
Sure.
But at the same time, you may not lose a card because you're going to control a clearing.
Right.
Since you have to battle, and if you succeed, then you're not losing a card for that.
Right.
And even 1 point of turning it in is now a column close to completed.
Right. Which
so
is
that
another
1 point
2 points somewhere.
is theoretically, that 1 point is theoretically 3 points.
Right.
Which, in a game where if you're consistently generating points, like we saw with the Lord of Hundreds, you're going to do very, very well.
Right.
I mean, by the end of the game we just played, it was... I was at 25, but it was going to be 30.
Right.
And you were at 17.
Yep.
Potentially by your next turn, maybe 20, low 20s.
Yeah.
If you're able to turn in a few more.
Because, I had a 3, so as long as someone didn't go and kill it, then there's at least another 3 points right there.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're definitely high complexity. They generate a bunch of cards. They also, they pretty much have more negotiating power than the Lord of Hundreds does.
Right.
My negotiating power as the Lord is...
I'm
okay,
not
give me what
you.
I want, or I'm not, and I won't kill you. Which eventually doesn't bode well later in the game when no one wants to help you because you've killed them.
Right.
They're all about because you also, how many units do you have? You have a bunch as well.
I have quite a few. 15.
15, once again, and this is what I like, is they have now added more factions that can work with the river.
Yes.
The river folk. So, and throughout this entire game, you would super benefit from having rivers.
I don't think... The river folk
not even having rivers, just being like, hey, I want your people there to protect me.
Right.
With my relics.
Right.
So that, in and of itself, makes them... I still like them more, but that makes them better for a different playstyle than them.
Right.
Like...
they are very flexible in their playstyle.
Other than that, yeah, so, their negative is the fact, it's random in what tokens they get.
Right.
You can't overprotect the relics. It's challenging, but not super hard to take it from them. It's like, if I don't beat you, well, someone else is now going to come in and destroy it. But luckily, once again, they all have a double-edged sword. Yeah, you took the relic from me, but it's not gone.
Yeah.
And because I haven't gotten a whole bunch, you have to put it somewhere
and
still
it's
relatively
face up,
close.
so I now know for sure how many clearings I need to take it if I want to not lose a card. Or if I do, I know, like, if it's a 3, I don't need to surround it with 2. I'm just going to surround with 1 and lose the card.
And just lose the card, yeah. You don't have to work all that hard for it.
Right.
Losing the card still kind of sucks because that does limit. It's like, well, that's my 1 del for the turn, and so if you, I like the fact that it is only 3. What's that? It's not the decree. It's the
the retinue.
Yeah, I'm seeing it upside down, and I'm like reclui.
Yeah, retinue.
So it's only 3, so it's not as complex, and you still do have to go left to right, but you can be like, I don't want to move.
Right. And there's always another move down here.
So it's like, I don't want to move. I want to delve that 3 that was taken for me. Okay, I got it. Now I'm going to move.
Right.
And if you have 2 in there, you can move and then recover.
Right.
So they are a probably more advanced Eerie, but another fantastic thing about this expansion is even though if we're comparing it to the Eerie, they don't replace the Eerie by any means. Like,
no.
They play still so radically different. It's just like, oh, this particular aspect of them is similar.
Right.
Which is smart. I do not fault them for going that route.
Nope.
Because trying to make asymmetric factions that you have... This is like throwing in a new fighter in a video game, where you now have to be like, hopefully it's balanced, because they can't come in and tweak it.
Right.
Like, a video game can be patched. If these came out and they were busted, you fucked up your game.
Right.
And so far, I think they fit right in.
Yep.
Like, everything that we were talking about that's great about them, we saw... especially in this latest game, of how they can immediately be shut down.
Yeah.
I indirectly hindered myself by being like, yeah, I'm going to get fucking 3 points. Damn it, I destroyed a raid. Right. Well, okay, that immediately took 2 away, so now I'm only getting 2 points.
Yeah. No, I agree. This expansion is amazing. Love it.
I should also bring out the Horde. It was slightly like it wasn't upsetting. Like, it was more because I wanted to ramp up quicker.
Right.
But you have to get 3 items in command and prowess to go up. Well, sorry. You start out at 1 command of 1 prowess. If you get 1 extra item in each, you go up to 2, but it goes 2, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
And that's rough. Having to try and get 2 items to not gain anything from it, you're just now closer to 3.
Right.
It's like, ugh.
Right.
I want more actions.
Right.
How many actions do you get? I can't even... Oh, it's just based off your cards. Yeah, that's right.
It's
Never mind.
exclusively based on cards.
So
max of 10.
To a max of 10, that's right. 10 actions. That'd be just gross.
Right.
So I have the Keepers in Iron now in the 5th spot. They are above the Woodland Alliance, under the Underground Duchy. I could, on repeated play between the two, I could see them swapping.
Right.
But as of right now, the Underground Duchy is... I feel like they just have so much going on with them.
They are fun.
And like we said in the ranking video, none of these are bad.
No.
Like, even our latest one, it's like, I'll still gladly play them.
Right.
They're not my go-to.
Right. So if we're playing random and I get stuck with the otters, I'm not going to be like, well, this is a waste of my time.
Right.
It's like, no, it's a challenge that, yes, I wouldn't have picked that challenge, but I can do it.
Yeah. In fact, the Riverfolk, if I was just given them, I'd be like, great, someone who knows how to negotiate is fine.
Right.
Hey, everyone, look at my wares. But I have them, so right now they are in 5, but at a 5, I'd still give them a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Keepers in Iron. They're not quite up to an 8, and they're definitely not a 9. But I think a 7 is a pretty solid.
Honestly, I was going to say 7 too, because I was going to be, they're a little lower than the Lords of 100, but they're right there.
They are right there. They're so good.
To me, it's probably my biggest negative of this faction is this is not one that I'm going to give a beginner to root, or even probably like a newish gamer.
Yeah.
This faction.
Yeah.
There are other factions I would say, hey, this is what you should start with. These are fun, but this is someone like you played root. You can see ahead.
You are a fan of root.
You are a fan
Here's
of
the
root.
new faction.
That one I could give to someone that's newer to root.
Who's at least played. This is one of those things, even the low one is very hard to give to just a new gamer.
Right.
Like, it's like, have you played a war game? Okay, here's a low
Right.
here's a low faction. The barrier to entry is...
Have you played Risk? Here's the marquee.
Yeah. Because even the Corvid, I was thinking, I was like, oh, they're low faction, but then I started realizing, well...
You have to think
They're
and
not
plan
immediately, like, obvious on how you get victory points.
Right.
Like, and... because you have to have like a thing to be even flip a plot token, it's just like, well, I'm playing a super aggressive, so I killed it, and now it's gone. So yeah,
right.
All right. Well, I guess you can talk about the hirelings and the
I mean, I can
landmarks.
So we did not play with landmarks, so I have no idea what landmarks.
I guess you theoretically have, because the landmarks now they included the fortress and the raft.
Right.
Those are landmarks, but okay.
But the hirelings, so the way it looked like the hirelings were, they were a boost if you're not playing this at 4 players. So they got more powerful depending, like at 2 players.
I see.
And so they really weren't that great at 4 players, and so they added something that to me did not benefit us at 4 players.
I gotcha.
At 2 players, super cool powers. So, like, 2 players, you get the raft. Like, if you're not playing with the otters and you have the otters as a hireling, at 2 players, the raft becomes a cannon barge that hits, like, 3 anywhere on the river.
Oh, that's neat.
And so, like, that's cool. But then, like, if you have just if you're playing with 4 players, it's, you can move along the river for free.
Oh, it changes based off number of players.
Yes.
Oh,
number
okay.
of players.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't. I just kind of packed them up.
And so again, like some of it's cool. Like there's a deer that's like protector, and so I think like it wherever it is, you subtract 1 hit from you.
Can't find them.
But they also add like at more players, they add meeples.
Yes.
And so they add to your army.
Okay.
So at low player counts, they add to your army. At high player counts, they just give you an ability.
I get. Okay.
So like 1 was you get extra draw.
You can only pick 1.
You can have as many.
You can have as many as you want. They just can't be of factions that are playing.
Right.
Okay.
So you pick your factions,
Which makes sense.
Then you get your hirelings.
Okay.
After that.
Okay.
So I would say they're not like terrible, and they're probably kind of in my opinion, if you want to play a lighter game of Root, you add it to it.
That's kind of what I was thinking. When we were definitely testing out these new factions, I didn't want to throw them in because that's just going to muddy. Like,
more about,
were the Keeper and Iers actually that strong, or was it this hireling that got added in? It almost sounds like they were kind of like the vassal families in the Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's how they.
Okay,
I would say they are there to help if you're playing with Clockworks,
okay.
and that's about it.
Okay, so something fun you can probably throw in and just be like, oh, sure, why not? So really cool at lower player counts and just kind of like maybe a little slight boost.
Yep, just a little slice, something.
And anyone can get them. At what was it, 4 points?
So the first one, because you always play with 3 of them, the first one comes out 4 points, and then I think it's 6 and then 8 points. And whoever gets there first gets them. But the minute you basically roll a die to see how long you get them, the number of pips gives you time.
Okay.
And then as soon as that time marker goes off, you pick someone else to get the hirelings, and then they roll, and they get for X amount of time.
Okay. I like that. That definitely can give some negotiating power.
That's what we used it for. Is he's in the lead. You need some more card draw. Here you go. You get extra card draw per round.
Okay. Okay.
Now I need you to start helping fight that guy because we're giving you more draw.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty neat. I think. Yeah. I think that could.
It's a cool idea, and there's definitely better hirelings than others. Or at least situationally better hirelings than others. So, it's not bad.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I guess I know we rank these individually. I guess that would be the average of 8 and 7. So 15 divided by 2 that would be a 7.5. I mean, I'd give this expansion though.
I'm giving it 8.
Yeah, I was like 7.5 is weird. I'm definitely going to give it an 8.
Yeah.
Because like with the other expansions, on increased play and even seeing how the Lord of Hundreds work against an aggressive, if like Lord of Hundreds could be dog shit if you have the Woodland Alliance who's competing against them and blowing up their mob tokens, and it's like, why is your alliance destroying my mob?
Because they're different parties.
That's true. It's like, look, let's split the forest in half. You blow up this side, and I'll blow up this side.
And then the Corbin comes in and it's like, ah!
God. Could you imagine being one faction that is just the one that doesn't blow shit up, and you're against all the other factions that do?
Next three factions just blow up. It's like,
I'm just gonna remove all my presents because I might as well.
You all.
I don't know why I'm here, but let's just make it a 3-player game because you're just killing all my shit. Yeah, so that's kind of where these factions sit in, but definitely get it if you are on the fence.
Right. The only reason I'm not getting it is because every play group I have already has it in someone's collection.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need to buy it just because of that. Otherwise, I would own it.
And as far as I know, I don't think they've announced anything of this being the last one.
They haven't. I hear rumors that is, but at the same time, I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's their flagship game.
I would probably say for Leader Games, this is probably their cash cow.
Right.
I could see them stopping just for aesthetics. But, hey, we have 10 factions.
Right.
That's a good...
Or trying to figure out another asymmetrical faction that doesn't break all other 10. Because, again, as you keep building more asymmetrical factions, it just becomes more and more difficult.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's why they had 4 designers on this one. But I hope it's not their last one.
I hope not.
I would just love more and more factions. It sounds like they're not running out of ideas.
Nope.
Like,
Cole Worley's a fairly intelligent person for board games.
I don't know, he made Oath. No, I see.
But I see people like that.
They do. I am the outlier in that. And I could see the brilliance of its design, just not a game for me. But and with Patrick Leader behind it. So here's hoping to more expansions. And if not, don't do a fucking bag. Please just make a storage box. Just please do a storage solution.
Right, one big box.
I have 3 stupid boxes for this stuff because this is a tiny main box.
Yep.
But anyway. You got anything else?
Nope.
Cool. Well, that's our thoughts on the Marauder expansion for Root. Let us know what you think of these factions in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.